When you're standing in front of a fiber laser cutter and wondering whether the next upgrade will actually move the needle for your shop, the decision can feel like a lot of guesswork. I've spent a solid week combing through spec sheets, forum threads, and a handful of reviews that exist for the Raytools BT220, because I know most of us are balancing a tight budget against a need for reliable performance. If you're on the fence about whether this head is the right fit for your machine, stick with me. I'll break down the real-world implications, not just the headline numbers. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the big selling point on paper is the 2 kilowatts laser source, which sounds like enough power to slice through most sheet metal, acrylic, and even some thin steel without bogging down. In practice, that power translates into a decent material thickness range. We're talking about roughly 4 mm of mild steel and up to 12 mm of acrylic, depending on your feed speed. If your work involves regular production runs of those thicknesses, the BT220 can keep up without needing to dial back the power too often, which is a good sign for productivity. But the real question is whether the head integrates smoothly into the existing ecosystem of a medium-sized laser cutter. The BT220 advertises ease of installation, and that's not just marketing talk. The mechanical mounting points match the standard Raytools series, so swapping from a lower-powered head is a matter of loosening a few bolts and reconnecting the fiber optic cable. The cable itself is a high-quality, 1 mm single-mode fiber that's pre-terminated for quick plug-and-play, so you avoid the headache of custom splicing. For a shop that hasn't had a major downtime window in months, this drop-in approach is a saving grace. You can get the head on the line in a half-day instead of a week of waiting for a specialist. Now, let's talk about what the head actually does in a 2D versus a 3D context. The 2D/3D label isn't just a hype phrase. The BT220 supports dynamic focusing for depth-controlled cuts, meaning you can move from flat sheet cutting straight into engraving or contouring on a three-dimensional part without swapping heads. In a real-world scenario, imagine you're producing a batch of laser-cut signage that includes both flat backplates and raised lettering. With a single head you can cut the backplate, then shift the focus to carve the raised text in one continuous workflow. Time saved here is measurable. You cut out at least one resetup step per job, which for small batch runs adds up quickly. That said, the BT220 isn't a universal cure-all. Its versatile claim has limits that become apparent when you try to push the envelope. The head's maximum usable power is 2 kilowatts, and while that is plenty for thin to medium materials, you'll start to see a slowdown when attempting to cut thicker steel, say 8 mm or more, at high speeds. The system will automatically reduce feed rates to maintain cut quality, and you'll notice the difference in cycle time compared to a higher power 4 kilowatts head. If your primary market is heavy-gauge structural steel, you'll probably feel the BT220's limitations sooner rather than later. Another practical nuance is the cooling requirement. The BT220 demands a dedicated closed-loop water chiller that can sustain a flow of around 810 liters per minute. If you already have a chiller that's sized for a 1 kilowatt head, you'll need to upgrade it, which adds to the upfront cost. Many buyers underestimate this ancillary expense, assuming the head is the only purchase. In my research, a few shop owners mentioned retrofitting an existing chiller and seeing a small efficiency dip. The chiller ran near capacity, and ambient temperature in the workshop rose a few degrees, which can affect other equipment. If you don't have a robust cooling system in place, expect to budget an extra few $1,000s for a proper chiller. When it comes to durability, the BT220's housing is forged from an aluminum alloy with a hardcoat finish. The design is meant to keep dust and debris out of the optical path, which is a genuine benefit if you're cutting materials that generate a lot of particulate, like wood or carbon-filled plastics. In the field, users have reported that the head stays clean longer than comparable units, reducing the frequency of lens cleaning cycles. That translates to less downtime and a lower chance of accidental miscuts caused by contaminated optics. Who should definitely consider the BT220? If you run a prototyping shop, a small to medium batch manufacturer, or a makerspace that regularly switches between flat cuts and modest 3D engraving, this head is a strong candidate. Its combination of decent power, quick changeover, and reliable cooling integration makes it a versatile tool for diverse material handling without requiring a massive capital outlay. Also, if you already own a Raytools compatible cutter, the mechanical fit will be seamless, and you'll appreciate the pre-terminated fiber that removes the usual headache of fiber management. Who should skip it? If your primary workflow revolves around thick steel plate, heavy aluminum extrusion, or high-volume production where every millisecond counts, you'll likely